Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaya Naru Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtapraya Shavadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 16, King Chitraketu meets the Supreme Lord. Text number 42 onwards. Ka kshemo nij paryo kiyan vartha swapar druha dharmena swadrohat tav kopaha parasim pidya chatha dharma. How can a religious system that produces envy of oneself and of others be beneficial for oneself and for them? What is auspicious about following such a system? What is actually to be gained? By causing pain to one's own self due to self envy, and by causing pain to others, one arouses your anger and practices irreligion. So that's the so-called religions that goes on in the name of religion. So Prabhupada says very heavy purpose he has written. Any religious system but the process of Bhagavad Dharma service as an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a system of envy of one's own self and of others. For example, there are many systems of religion in which animal sacrifices are recommended. Such animal sacrifices are inauspicious, both for the performer and for the animal. Although one is sometimes permitted to sacrifice an animal before the goddess Kali and eat it instead of purchasing meat from a slaughterhouse. Permission to eat meat after a sacrifice in the presence of the goddess Kali is not the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is simply a concession for the miserable person who will not give up eating meat. It is meant to restrict his desire for unrestricted meat eating. Such a religious system is condemned. Therefore, Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Praja. Give up all other duties and surrender unto me. This is the last word in religion. So this is what the shloka says, by causing pain to one's own self due to self-envy, and by causing pain to others, one arouses your anger and practices irreligion. So especially meat eating. Prabhupada, the scriptures talk so heavily about it. Killing animals to eat their flesh is the grossest type of eating. And definitely, the punishment will be there. Maybe this corona pandemic is a punishment for that as well. Human beings have been just slaughtering animals, killing fishes, killing cows, goats, chicken, and I don't know how many other animals all over the world, and just eating them. Somewhere I read that if animals start killing human beings, the rate the animals were killed, in 18 days, only 18 days, they can kill all the human beings at the same rate that they were being killed. So horrible. One may argue that the sacrifice of animals is recommended in the Vedas. This recommendation, however, is a restriction. Without Vedic restrictions on the purchase of meat, people will purchase meat from the market, which will be overflooded with meat shops, and slaughterhouses will increase. And this is exactly what has happened now. To restrict this, sometimes the Vedas say that one may eat meat after sacrificing an insignificant animal like a goat before the goddess Kali. But that is One who wants to eat, he has to perform this sacrifice, that too only once a month on the new moon day in front of God, Kali, and chanting a mantra also in the ear of that animal, which basically means that I'm killing you and eating your meat in this lifetime, and so that you can come and kill me and eat my meat next lifetime. In any case, a system of religion in which animal sacrifices are recommended is inauspicious for those who perform the sacrifices and for the animals. Sacrifices are also mentioned, but the purpose of sacrifice, first of all, if somebody wants to eat meat, then he can do it in front of Kali. But Ashwamedh Yagya and Gomedh Yagya is also mentioned, but in that there is no recommendation of meat eating. Nobody eats that meat. And that those sacrifices are to give that soul of either the cow or the horse, to give that soul either a young cow or horse body or a human being right away. It's not like they'll happen after a few years or whatever. No, right away they'll get a human form. Otherwise, any kind of this, especially this annual sacrifice, is not at all recommended. Not at all. Envious persons who perform ostentatious animal sacrifices are condemned in Bhagavad Gita. Atma sambhavita stabdha dhan man madanvita yayante nam yagyaste dambhe navidhi purvakam. Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they means the asuras or demoniac people. They sometimes perform sacrifices as name only without following any rules or regulations. Sometimes animal sacrifices are performed very gorgeously with grand arrangement for worshipping the goddess Kali. But such festivals, although performed in the name of yajna, are not actually yajna. For yajna means to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, it is recommended that in this age, specifically, yajna sankirtan prayas, those who have good intelligence satisfy the yajna purusha Vishnu by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Envious persons, however, are condemned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as follows. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demon becomes envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in his own body and in the bodies of others, and blasphemes against the real religion. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. These persons are condemned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as indicated by the words Tava Kopaha. A person who commits murder is envious of himself and also the person he has killed. So why is he envious of himself? Because committing a murder, sin like murder, then he himself is going to go down in the lower planets or into the lower species. And also the person he has killed, for the result of committing murder is that he will be arrested and hanged. If one transgresses the laws of a man-made government, he may escape being killed by the state, but one cannot escape the laws of God. A killer of any animal must be killed in this next life by the same animal. This is the law of nature. One must follow the instructions of the Supreme Lord, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. If one follows any other system of religion, he is subject to punishment by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in many different ways. Therefore, if one follows a concocted system of religion, he is envious not only of himself, but also of not only of others, but also of himself. Consequently, his system of religion is useless. Heavy purport. So So the only system of religion that one needs to follow is Bhagavad Dharma. Other than that, whether Hindu religion, Islamic, Christian, or any other faith, because it doesn't let one come to the level of love of God. That's the biggest problem. And here it's nicely said the person is envious of himself. So it says in the shloka, by causing pain to one's own self due to self-envy. The Prabhupada explains that self-envy is what? If I kill somebody, then my progress is also there would be obstacles in my progress. So people don't understand how I can be envious of myself when I'm trying to do everything for my sake, my pleasure, my happiness. But this is not the real happiness. We think this body is me, and that's why I'm trying to give this body some pleasure, some comfort, but not really. The soul is going to get punished. And actually, nobody thinks of all this. Nowhere it is taught. So what is a real religion? Srimad Bhagavatam says, duties or dharma executed by men, regardless of occupation, are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the Supreme Lord. Following a system of religion that does not awaken one's Krishna consciousness or God consciousness is merely a waste of time and labor. Shram eva hi kevalam. That's what Bhagavatam says. So by mercy of Prabhupada, Acharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, somehow we have been brought into this dharma, Bhagavad Dharma, and we should take it up seriously, very, very seriously, actually. Now vyabhicharati taveksha yaya hi abhihito bhagavato dharma sthirichar sattva kadambeshva prithag dhiyo yam upasate tavaryaha. My dear Lord, one's occupational duty is instructed in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita according to your point of view, which never deviates from the highest goal of life. Those who follow their occupational duties under your supervision, being equal to all living entities, moving and non-moving and not considering high and low, are called Aryans. Such Aryans worship you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Aryans doesn't mean when Germans said, oh, we are the Aryans. According to them, Aryans means the best species of humankind. So that Aryans doesn't matter by the color of the skin or by how intelligent a person is or how rich a person is or how strong a person is. That's not Aryan. Aryan means a devotee, basically. That's what the shloka says. Those who follow their occupation duty under your supervision, being equal to all living entities, moving and non-moving and not considering high and low, are called Aryans. That is Aryan, not like we are better than everybody else and we should hate the Jews, we should hate Muslims, and we should hate Chinese, we should hate Indians because we are better. That's not Aryan. Such Aryans worship you, the Supreme Personality of God. Bhagavad Dharma and Krishna Katha are identical. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted everyone to become a guru and preach the instructions of Krishna everywhere, from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Puranas, Vedanta Sutra, and similar Vedic literatures. Aryans who are advanced in civilization follow Bhagavad Dharma. Prahlad Maharaj, although merely a child of 5 years, recommended Kaumara Acharit Pragyu. Prahlad Maharaj said, preach Bhagavad Dharma among his classmates as soon as an opportunity was afforded. by the absence of his teachers from the classroom. He said that from the very beginning of life, from the age of 5, children should be instructed about Bhagavad Dharma, because the human form of life, which is very rarely obtained, is meant for understanding this subject. So Prahlad Maharaj, will read about him in the next canto, 7th canto. Wonderful teachings, and he showed how he is a Mahabhagavat. Even at the age of 5, he was preaching. Bhagavad Dharma means living according to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, we find that the Supreme Lord has arranged human society in 4 social divisions, namely Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Again, the Puranas and other Vedic literature set forth 4 ashrams, which are the divisions of spiritual life. Therefore, Bhagavad Dharma means the Varnashram Dharma of the 4 social and 4 spiritual divisions. The members of human society who strictly follow the principles of Bhagavad Dharma and live according to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are called Aryans or Arya. A civilization of Aryans who strictly follow the instructions of the Lord and never deviate from those instructions is perfect. Such civilized men do not discriminate between trees, animals, human beings, and other living entities. Pandita Samdarshina, because they are completely educated in Krishna consciousness, they see all living beings equally. So that is Aryan. And only a Krishna conscious person or a devotee can see everybody equally, because he can see, or he sees on the basis of soul, not the body. Aryans do not kill even a small plant unnecessarily, not to speak of cutting trees for sense gratification. At the present moment, throughout the world, killing is prominent. Men are killing trees, they're killing animals, and they're killing other human beings also, all for sense gratification. This is not an Aryan civilization. As stated here, Sthirachara Sattva Kadambesha Aprithak Dhiya. The word Aprithak Dhiya indicates that Aryans do not distinguish between lower and higher grades of life. All life should be protected. All living beings have a right to live, even the trees and plants. This is a basic principle of an Aryan civilization. Apart from the lower living entities, those who have come to the platform of human civilization should be divided into a society of Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudras. The Brahmins should follow the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as stated in Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literatures. The criterion must be guna and karma, not janma, not birth. In other words, one should acquire the qualities of a Brahman, a Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra and act accordingly. This is a civilization accepted by the Aryans. Why do they accept it? They accept it because they're very much eager to satisfy Krishna. So it doesn't say anywhere that the Shudras cannot be Aryans. But the society has been divided on the basis of caste, and it wasn't basis of caste, not the basis of birth. Shudra means one who serves everybody else, so one who serves all the other 3 above. And if he serves properly, still following his regulations according to Varna and Ashram, he is considered an Aryan. It's not that only Brahmins can be Aryans. Aryans do not deviate from the instructions of Krishna, nor do they have doubts about Krishna. But non-Aryans and other demoniac people fail to follow the instructions of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. This is because they have been trained in sense gratification at the cost of all other living entities. Nunam pramattah kurute vikarma. Their only business is to indulge in all kinds of forbidden activities for sense gratification. Yad indriya prite aprinoti. They deviate in this way because they want to gratify their senses. They have no other occupation or ambition. Their method of civilization is condemned, the previous verse. What is the meaning of a civilization that kills oneself and others? So in the previous verse, we read about those who are non-Aryans, and now we're reading about those who can be Aryans or who are Aryans. This verse therefore advises that everyone become a member of the Aryan civilization and accept the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjun was saying, Krishna, I cannot fight, I don't want to fight, I cannot kill my relatives, and he gave so many excuses, logics, reasons for not fighting. And Krishna, in the beginning of second chapter, he said, you're talking like non-Aryans. Where did these impurities come upon you? So running away from one's duty as a Kshatriya was a non-Aryan symptom. One should conduct his social, political, and religious affairs according to his instructions. We are spreading the Krishna consciousness movement to try to establish a society the way that Krishna wants it. This is the meaning of Krishna consciousness. We are therefore presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is and kicking out all kinds of mental concoction. Fools and rascals interpret Bhagavad Gita in their own way. When Krishna says, Man mana bhav mad bhakto, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me, they comment that it is not Krishna to whom we must surrender. Thus they derive imaginary meanings from Bhagavad Gita. The Krishna consciousness movement, however, strictly follows Bhagavad Dharma, the instructions of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam for the complete welfare of human society. So yes, like Prabhupada said, they misinterpret Krishna's instructions. In fact, on Ram Navami, not just last month only, there were messages on WhatsApp and Facebook interpreting or misinterpreting Ram Leela. Or Ram is consciousness and Sita is this and Hanuman is this and Ravan is... I was like so upset. So where is the need? What is the need of doing this kind of interpretation? Doesn't even make sense. Ram is Ram, Sita is Sita, Lakshman, Lakshman. Ravan is Ravan. Learn from the past times. Become a devotee of Ram. That's all. But no, but they had to give their interpretation and without even understanding. People were liking it. Oh yeah, it makes sense. What makes sense? Doesn't make sense at all. Similarly, for Mahabharata, they say, oh, the 5 Pandavas are the 5 senses, and Krishna is a mind, and Kauravas, 100 Kauravas, they are, I don't know what they call them. And Kurukshetra is this body, and the fight is going on. Maybe the Kauravas, they call them desires, I think. Why? This is what Prabhupada says. One who misinterprets Bhagavad Gita, twisting out some meaning for his sense gratification, is a non-Aryan. Therefore, commentaries on Bhagavad Gita by such persons should be immediately rejected. One should try to follow Bhagavad Gita as it is. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Ye tu sarvani karamani mai sanyasya matapara. For one who worships me, giving up all his activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, who has fixed his mind upon me, O son of Pritha, for him I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. And this, he says, Tesham aham samudharta mrityu sansara sagara. I am the swift deliverer. It's not like it's going to take a long time. I'll deliver him from the ocean of birth or death very soon, very swiftly, very fast. For whom? For one who worships me, giving up all his activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, always meditating upon me, engaging in devotional service, whose mind is fixed upon me. So Krishna doesn't say, get your mind fixed upon some nonsense interpretation of Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata or Ramayana or anything else. No. He says, clearly says, upon me, not on something eternal, unborn within me. There is no such thing. So that is Aryan, one who understands the meaning of the scriptures and acts accordingly. Nahi bhagwan ghatitam idam tvadarshana nranam akhil papakshaya yannam naskritchranvat pukkasho api vimuchyate sansara. My Lord, it is not impossible for one to be immediately freed from all material contamination by seeing you. Not to speak of seeing you personally, merely by hearing the holy name of your Lordship only once, even Chandals, men of the lowest class, are freed from all material contamination. Under the circumstances, who will not be freed from material contamination simply by seeing you? So hearing the holy name of your Lordship only once, even Chandal, are freed from all material contamination. That's how powerful the Lord is and His holy name is. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, yan nama shuti matrena puman bhavati nirmala. Simply by hearing the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately purified. Therefore, in this age of Kali, when all people are very contaminated, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is recommended as the only means of improvement. Hare Ranam, Hare Ranam, Hare Ranam, Eva Kevalam. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. 3 times it is said. Kalo nastiv, 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 gatiranyata. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced this chanting of the holy name 500 years ago. And now through the Krishna consciousness movement, the Hare Krishna movement, we're actually seeing that men who are considered to belong to the lowest class are being delivered from all sinful activities simply by hearing the holy name of the Lord. So men who are considered to belong to the lowest class of men are being delivered. Sansar or material existence is a result of sinful actions. Everyone in this material world is condemned. Yet, as there are different grades of prisoners, there are different grades of men. All of them in all statuses of life are suffering. Everybody is suffering. And right now, definitely everybody is suffering. To stop the suffering of material existence, one must take to the Hare Krishna movement of Sankirtan of Krishna conscious life. So one must take to this chanting of the holy name. That's our only refuge. That's the only safe thing that we can take shelter of. Herein it is said, Yannamacha Sakricha Shravanat. The holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so powerful that if once heard without offenses, it can purify the lowest of men. Such men who are called Chandals are less than Shudras, but they also can be purified simply by hearing the holy name of the Lord, not to speak of personally seeing the Lord. From our present position, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be personally seen as a deity in the temple. The deity of the Lord is not different from the Supreme Lord. Because we cannot see the Supreme Lord with the present blunt eyes, the Lord has kindly consented to come before us in a form that we can see. Therefore, the deity in the temple should not be considered material. By offering food to the deity and by decorating and serving the deity, one gets the same result that one derives from serving the Lord personally in Vaikuntha. See, the deity is not different from the Lord. It is completely spiritual. And we get the same results by serving, decorating, dressing, bathing the deities, or cooking for the deities, feeding the deities. The same result that one gets by serving the Lord personally in Vaikuntha. And for those who cannot or who don't have deities, who cannot serve the deities, chant the holy name. That is again non-different from the Lord. So chanting can be done at any place, in any condition of life. For deity worship, one has to be properly trained, properly situated, and cleansed, and pure, and this and that. Plenty of things one has to go through. But for chanting, no rules, no restrictions. Anybody and everybody can chant at any place. Text 45. At Bhagwan Vayam Madhuna Tvaddaloka Paribrishtaya Mrishta Shayamala Sura Rishina Yata Kathitam Tavakin Katham Manyatha Bhavati. Therefore, my dear Lord, simply seeing you has now wiped away all the contamination of sinful activities and the results of material attachment and lusty desires, which always filled my mind and the core of my heart. Whatever is predicted by the great sage Narad Muni cannot be otherwise. In other words, I have obtained your audience as a result of being trained by Narad Muni. This is the process of the perfect way. One must take lessons from authorities like Narad, Vyas, and Asit and follow their principles. Then one will be able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even with one's own eyes. One only needs training. Ata Shri Krishna Namavati Na Bhavedirayam Indriya. With our blunt eyes and other senses, we cannot perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if we engage our senses in the service of the Lord, according to the instructions of the authorities, it will be possible to see Him. As soon as one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the sinful reactions in the core of one's heart are completely vanquished, not just superficially, even in the core of one's heart. And sinful reactions in the core of one's heart means even the desire to commit sin goes away, completely vanquished, certainly vanquished. And that seeing the Lord can only happen when we follow the instructions of the authorities. When we follow instructions of Srila Prabhupada, of chant 16 rounds every day, follow the principles, and that's it. That's all the instruction. That's the general instructions He gave for everybody. If we just follow that, like Maharaj Chitraketu is saying, I just followed the instructions of my Guru, Narad Muni. So, and see, Narad Muni, it is very sad how his character is portrayed in the movies and the TV serials. He is a spiritual master of pretty much everybody in Srimad Bhagavatam. Even Maharaj Chitraketu, he was instructed by Narad Muni. Angira Rishi came, but then he brought Narad Muni with him to give the instructions to Chitraketu Maharaj. So he is a spiritual master, and by following the instructions of such a great sage, such a great devotee, one can definitely make tremendous advancement. Viditam ananta samastam tava jagadatmano janarhi charitam vigyapyam param guru kiyadev savituriv khadyotah. O unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead, whatever a living entity does in this material world is well known to you because you are the super soul. In the presence of sun, there is nothing to be revealed by the light of a glowworm. Similarly, because you know everything in your presence, there is nothing for me to make known. So Lord is Ananta, that's why it is said, O unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was the Anant Shesh that Maharaj Chitraketu is speaking with. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Sakal Jagat Sthiti Layo Dayeshaya Durvasitatman Gataye Kuyoginam Vida Param Hansaya. My dear Lord, you are the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of this cosmic manifestation. But persons who are too materialistic and who always see separateness do not have eyes with which to see you. They cannot understand your real position, and therefore they conclude that the cosmic manifestation is independent of your opulence. My Lord, you're the supreme pure and you're full in six opulences. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So the persons who are too materialistic and who always see separateness do not have eyes with which to see you. So we have to spiritualize our eyes, spiritualize our senses, and then we would be able to really see the Lord and His master. You're the supreme pure and you're full in six opulences. So we have to be pure enough to see Him with our materially conditioned mind, senses, eyes, tons and tons of material desires in our heart. We cannot see Him. We cannot even see ourselves properly. Forget about seeing the Supreme Lord. Atheistic men think that the cosmic manifestation has come about by chance, by a combination of matter without reference to God. Materialistic so-called chemists and atheistic philosophers always try to avoid even the name of God in relation to the cosmic manifestation. For them, God's creation is impossible to understand because they're too materialistic. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Paramhansa, or the Supreme Pure, whereas those who are sinful, being very much attached to material sense enjoyment, and therefore engaging in material activities like asses, are the lowest of men. All their so-called scientific knowledge is null and void because of their atheistic temperament. Thus, they cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So having all these material desires and without following any spiritual practices for purifying ourselves. And those spiritual practices again have to be performed offenselessly. Then only they can purify us. Offensive chanting, offensive dealing with devotees, offensive other ways, we cannot make progress. And the progress is to become more and more spiritualized. Cleansing of heart, transformation of our heart, transformation from material sense enjoyment to spiritual service, transformation of consciousness. So that's what the spiritual practices should do. That's what we have to do. That's what we have to attain. Not just like, okay, I'm initiated for whatever 2, 3, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years, and I'm chanting. I don't know if I'm chanting, I'm just completing my rounds. That's all I'm doing. We have to put in our heart in this process to really make progress. And then only we can have proper darshan of the Lord. And it's funny when we preach and go to people, oh, I know Krishna, I have read Bhagavad Gita, I know. Well, it's good that at least they chant the name of Krishna by just saying, I know Krishna, or at least they've touched Bhagavad Gita or try to read it. But to really read, understand, bring the practices in our lives, that takes time. That takes time. But anyway, what else we have to do? Otherwise, we would just be suffering more and more in this material world. Text 48. Yam veshwasantam manu vishwasrajah shwasanti yam cheki tanamanu chittayocha kanti bhumandalam sarsha payati yasya murdhani tasmai namo bhagavate astu sahasra murdhane. My dear Lord, it is after you endeavor that Lord Brahma, Indra, and all the other directors of the cosmic manifestation become occupied with their activities. It is after you perceive the material energy, my Lord, that the senses begin to perceive. The Supreme Personality of Godhead holds all the universes on his heads like seeds of mustard. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, that Supreme Personality who has thousands of hoods. So Anand Shesha, as we have read earlier, he has thousands of hoods, and all the universes are placed on his hoods like mustard seeds. They hardly have any weight or any size to bother anybody. And with Anand Shesha, these mustard seeds are just scattered here and there. And all these unlimited number of material universes are like that. And we can just imagine our position inside one of those mustard seeds. And we think we are somebody very important, somebody very great. We control the whole thing. We don't control anything. Shri Shukavacha Sanskruto Bhagwan Evam Anantastam Abhashata Vidyadhara Patim Pritesh Chitraketum Kurudvaha. Shukdev Goswami continued, the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Anantadev, being very much pleased with the prayers offered by Chitraketu, the king of the Vidyadharas, replied to him as follows. O best of the Kuru dynasty, Maharaj Parikshit. So I guess we can take up from tomorrow, whatever the Lord is telling Maharaj Chitraketu. So we'll stop here, see anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, so we should stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Krishna.